Hey, True Nature Medicine Tribe, happy Monday. And what's happening in your world? I am jumping in here really quickly, just because there's been this sort of constant theme coming up, not just in my own world, but around resistance, which really stops us, doesn't it, from doing what we know we need to do to get results and be, get the success that we want. And when I'm coaching people on their reaching their goals and getting the results, I always say to them, be very flexible on your strategies. The goals might be sacred, but we can change strategies as often as we need. But I've got a 10-year-old daughter, if some of you don't know, and she is a master manipulator. She came out, I think, like most kids do, really having a very strong idea about who she was and what she was willing to do, and she's pretty smart, and she's always moving the boundaries. She's always seeing how far she can push the boundaries with me. And I had an amazing creative artistic client for a VIP day yesterday, so I knew I wasn't going to be around, and I said to my husband before the day started, please make sure that she finishes her Kumon and that all her homework is ready. And it drives me insane. Maybe if you have kids, you can relate to this, that there's sort of this blanket endorsement on flexibility, and I kind of find that flexibility, even for myself, I like that I'm very flexible, and that I'm a great problem solver, and I can see the big vision most of the time, but it can really damage our productivity if we're not careful. And my daughter reminded me of this yesterday. She will push the boundaries every single time and negotiate her way out. It's like, well, why do I have to go to bed? It's not a school night, or I've got the whole day today to do my Kumon and I'm not doing it right now. And it's always, there's always a response. There's always a response because it doesn't suit her to do what I'm asking her to do. And the problem is that we carry those tendencies of negotiation from, before we're 7, we're pretty set in our ways and we know what we want, and we've tested the boundaries to create secure attachment, because we need boundaries in order to feel safe. But we also need to know that those boundaries are there, whether we like it or not, to ensure that we actually reach our target and get our goals and our dreams and our desires in alignment. And we carry these into adulthood, and the problem is that a lot of times we turn this negotiation, maybe you've noticed this in your own life, on ourselves. And negotiation can look like a positive or a negative judgment. It can look like procrastination. It can look like resistance. If you want to lose the weight, you can't hope and wish and meditate yourself into that the same way as you can't meditate yourself into abundance, or negotiate that, I've had enough, but I'll start tomorrow. The time is now. And I think it's super important, instead of trying to see how far that we can get without our parents, that we did when we did that as kids, we start to see how far we can get within stretching our own boundaries. And this is how we sabotage our own success, and we don't get the results. And even though we're whining and moaning that, it's like my clients aren't showing up and I can't sell this, this beautiful outfit I made, or, I can't get people to find my work, but you're not doing anything about it. And often that's the sabotage, is that we create exceptions up front. And we go, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start the diet on Monday because, Sundays are family days, and we go out for lunch, and we make all these reasons and justifications and excuses as to why we put off. And then we kind of go into the justification that we're being flexible, that we're compromising to make it easier, when actually it makes it harder for ourselves. And it sounds very reasonable in the moment. I'm sure you can relate to doing that. I know I do it all the time, and I have to catch myself and turn it 1 degree and set a very strong boundary and get really clear on tracking and measuring everything. So tracking and measuring your finances is a really good place to start. Setting yourself, I kind of do a brain dump on a Sunday, and I will write down the top 3 priorities that I know without going into negotiation of putting it off that I need to get done. You know, so setting yourself, and I don't like to call them deadlines, because that means you have to kill yourself and your body and burn out and get adrenal fatigue, and then have another really justifiable physical reason why you haven't done it or you've put it off. But to set yourself realistic timelines to get certain things finished, and you know, set yourself up to achieve, set yourself up to get the results, because you know that you also have to put in contingencies. I had this conversation with my trainer at the gym today, where he said, you know, eventually you can't, he was saying that one of the trainers there was really moaning that she didn't have enough clients, and he said she's never at the gym, and she arrived like 30 minutes late, which she apparently does often, for one of her private clients. And you know, I don't know about you, but I'm going to lose trust in that person actually sees me and has my best my best interests at heart, if they can't honor the time and show up on time. And then you can't moan about, you know, that you don't have any clients, or you're not getting the results that you want. So flexible boundaries don't make us very productive. They really force us to negotiate our priorities in the moment, which then invites us to make these compromises and these reasons and these excuses as to why why we can't do what we want, because we've said we've had enough of struggle and hardship and making things really difficult for ourselves. And that kills our productivity, because then we beat ourselves up that way, and we start judging and we start making ourselves wrong, and then we quit. You know, so set yourself some absolutely no exceptional priorities, and put a realistic timeline on it. You know, you want to stretch yourself a little bit. We've got to have that healthy stress. Otherwise, we get too comfortable and complacent, and then we don't change. So I know sometimes I've kind of said, you know what, I've had enough, and I'm going to do this, and I'll procrastinate and I'll put it off. My no exception priorities is I get up every morning at exactly the same time. I do my daily intention setting, and I meditate. Hi, Anjana. Without exception, I write in my morning pages, and as much as I say without exception, I slacked for the last couple of days. I had a really full schedule. I was exhausted. I was going to bed too late. So again, you know, if you say bedtime 10 o'clock, start preparing at 9:30, just like you'd put a baby to sleep. Prepare for bed. Give yourself a nice warm turmeric tea or a chai, and start preparing yourself for bed. Have a beautiful warm bath. Treat yourself with the love and kindness that you would a child, that you want to go to sleep on time, so that they wake up refreshed and revitalized and focused to do the tasks at hand the next day. I slacked on that a little bit. You know, I was really burning the candle from both ends, because I had some really tight deadlines. There were some things that I needed to get out to clients. I'm busy in a group program at the moment, and I had some VIP one days that were scheduled for this week. One yesterday again. I have another one tomorrow, and I need to make sure that the rest of my life works like a well-oiled machine. So set some no exception priorities for yourself, and get into the ritual and the habit of not being flexible and giving yourself a way out, because we're really, really good at giving ourselves a way out. And that's where I think support is so important. And I set myself up with support and accountability in every aspect of my life. I know that sorry about that, someone was calling. Set yourself a certain window of time that you're only going to spend 30 minutes communicating, answering your emails once or twice a day. Time, productivity is Facebook, you know, skimming through Facebook, doing that. Set yourself a 15-minute window, maybe twice a day, so that you actually get productive and do your work. I know how time trapping that is when you get kind of sucked into a conversation, and I make sure that none of that stuff pops up anymore when I'm working on on my projects, or I'm writing in my morning pages, and I've got certain things that need to get done. And these little pop-ups, like right now, there's something that's just popped up on my phone. They take you out of the zone. They take you out of that flow of creation, and really getting productive. So, you know, set yourself some great non-negotiable boundaries and stick to them. And I know it's hard in the beginning, and yes, we slip, but when you slip, get yourself back on the horse and focus on that planning time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, time, you know, time is money, as they say. And if you're busy playing on Facebook all day, or WhatsApp, or Quiz Up, or all these distractions that are designed to take you out of being productive, people don't, you know, the powers that be don't want us to be awake and conscious and in control of how we create results and financial freedom and time freedom for ourselves. They want us involved so that we're distracted from actually asking questions on the big global concerns that so many people are having at the moment, and things that are going on in our community. So, you know, it's really a really good thing. Start your week strong. If you don't, set your Sundays like I do to just do a brain dump and actually work out and ask the energy of my business where it requires me to be, and what is the main priority, and also income generating stuff. It takes priority always. Hello, Maria. So look at your income gen and track and measure. You know, what do you need to do this week? If you've set your target of 100K for the month, how are you going to find it? And then focus on the income generating parts of your business that are going to get you the results to reach your targets. You know, and eventually we have to learn to say, without exception, if your productivity matters to you, there's a few commitments that really deserve that level of commitment. And don't you deserve to love yourself enough to give that to you, so that you can stay out of the judgment, you can stay out of self-flagellation, you can stay out of the blame and the shame and the regret and the guilt. And I think we become more deeply happy when we sort of have that secure, that place of safety within the boundaries that we grew up wanting as children and kicked and screamed because we wanted to do what we wanted to do. So look at where your 3-year-old is maybe still running your show, and put some guardrails up around your productivity. Put some guardrails up around how and where you're expending energy. And remember, you know, it takes a shitload of energy to conserve or, you know, make only 50 Rand a day as it does to create 50,000 a day. So you may as well start focusing on bigger dreams and bigger goals and bigger targets, and stretch yourself out. If you're feeling complacent and a little bit too comfortable in your own discomfort right now, you know, we just got out the starting gates of February. So get yourself into a place where you can start seeing the results by setting really good boundaries, and know when your 3-year-old actually is starting to manipulate you, and negotiate around timelines. You know, conserve your time, conserve your energy, discipline. Yeah, and you know, discipline can sometimes feel a little bit heavy too, because it's like it's a force that's against your alignment of flow and ease, and that, you know, it's as easy, like I said, it's as easy, Anjana, to expand your world as it is to contract it and say you can't. So, you know, discipline for me sometimes reminds me of the strict school mom who actually created a lot of trauma for me in my life at times. And yes, we're going to have those times. So I think it's important to see your truth and just remember to serve at your highest level, and start by serving you. Start by loving whatever arises, and make you your number one most valuable resource. And you need to look after your resources. So start with loving yourself more. We're in the month of February, and start to look at, you know, how can you start to get really into a state of flow by by knowing when you're buying into your lies and your lines and your manipulations, and pushing out the goalposts. So that's my 2 cents worth today. Is how can you improve your productivity this week, and how can you start to reach your goals and have the level of success that you want, because you are looking at yourself as your most valuable resources, and you're practicing radical self-care, and you are really setting yourself really doable, realistic targets that do stretch you a little bit, right? We have to be able to grow in order to gain, in order to give more. So go and be productive, and let me know if I can support you in tightening up some of those boundaries, any kind of money leaks, energy leaks that are going on. And look at your sleep hygiene. You know, this week I'm really committed to honoring that my body needs to sleep. So I'm going to make sure, low power battery mode, okay, my battery's about to go, that I really honor my sleep hygiene and start planning to get to sleep long before I normally do, because I always seem to negotiate myself out of bedtime, being at 10 o'clock, and it ends up being 11, and before I know it's 12, and then I'm all wired up, and then I lie in bed and think and dump, and I've got paper next to my bed, and I'm turning the light on and off, because writing in the dark, I could never decipher what I'd written in the morning. So what can you do? What one thing can you turn 1 degree that's really just going to give you a stronger sense that you're in control of your life, and you're going to get the results that you want? All right, guys, take care. My pleasure, Anjana. Bye. Mwah.